She's raising a child alone. She has no savings, no backup plan, and no room for mistakes. One morning, her fridge breaks. She needs $400 today. The bank says no. The payday lender says yes, at 20% interest. She signs the paper, not because she's reckless, but because she feels she has no other choice. At the edge of survival, people don't make financial plans. They make financial escapes. And that's why poor people often take more financial risks than the rich. Let's unpack this paradox and see what it really tells us about money, psychology, and being human. We like to believe money decisions are logical, but the truth is they're emotional, biological, and situational. Study after study shows people with less income often borrow at higher rates, chase faster returns, or gamble more. But it's not because they don't know better. It's because when your world feels unsafe, even a small chance of escape feels like hope. When you're poor, every day is a calculation between pain now and pain later. And sometimes pain later sounds like a bargain. Behavioral economists call this the scarcity trap. When you don't have enough money, time, sleep, your brain becomes obsessed with what's missing. You tunnel in. You stop thinking about next month's rent because you're too busy surviving this week. This isn't laziness. It's bandwidth collapse. Scarcity hijacks attention, lowers memory, and weakens self-control. You can't plan long-term if your brain is screaming, I need relief now. So you take the loan, you join the scheme. You buy the lottery ticket because at least it gives your mind one small taste of possibility. There's another layer from evolutionary psychology. In stable, safe environments, people naturally adopt slow strategies. They save, they plan, they delay gratification. But in unpredictable or harsh environments, our brains shift to fast strategies. Grab the reward now, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. It's the same instinct seen in nature. Animals in volatile ecosystems breed early, eat fast, and take risks. Humans are no different. When life feels unstable, we gamble to stay alive. So the poor aren't irrational. They're adapting fast. A new theory ties this all together. The desperation threshold. It says people's risk behavior follows a curve. When you're doing okay, you protect what you have. You play it safe. But when you slip below that line of basic survival, when you feel like you've already lost, risk suddenly feels rational. Because from down there, stability looks impossible. But change, even risky change, still looks possible. That's why you'll see someone bet half their paycheck on a promise. Not because they love risk, but because they hate hopelessness. Imagine checking your balance and feeling your heart race. Imagine counting coins at the counter while the cashier watches. Imagine your child asking for something simple, and you have to say, maybe next month. Poverty isn't just financial, it's emotional exhaustion disguised as bad choices. It's 100 tiny humiliations that no spreadsheet can measure. When people say, why don't they just save? They're missing the point. Saving requires hope. And hope is a luxury when survival is the only plan you can afford. The rich don't take fewer risks because they're smarter. They take fewer risks because they can afford to. So when you have money, risk is optional. When you don't, risk is mandatory. Wealth buys something that statistics never capture. A margin of error. A cushion between mistake and disaster. And that cushion changes everything. The stress, the mindset, even the morality of your decisions. That's why the same behavior, gambling, investing. Takinga Lohan looks bold for the rich, but irresponsible for the poor. The context changes the judgment. What can we do with this knowledge? First, empathy. Don't shame poor people for risky behavior. Understand the psychology behind it. Second, if you're struggling, build tiny safety nets. Even a few $100s saved, an automated bill, or a second source of income can move you above the desperation threshold. That small margin can change how your brain makes every decision. Third, for policymakers and employers, reducing stress, simplifying systems, and ensuring fair access to credit can do more for financial stability than any lecture about budgeting ever will. Because people don't need more willpower, they need more room to breathe. So the next time you see someone make a risky move, instead of asking, why are they so careless? Ask, how desperate must they feel to see that as their best chance? We can't talk about money without talking about emotion. We can't talk about risk without talking about survival. And we can talk about the poor without talking about the invisible weight that makes even smart people gamble everything for a small shot at freedom. This isn't about judgment. It's about understanding. Because once you understand how scarcity shapes the mind, you'll never look at money or people the same way again. If this made you think differently, share it with someone who still believes the poor just make bad choices. Subscribe for more quiet lessons on money, mind, and meaning. This is Money in Motion. Thanks for watching and stay thoughtful.